Law Talk Radio with Todd Marquart is sponsored by the Marquart Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of the information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Todd Marquart, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquartlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now, it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. I'm your co-host, Christiana Villegas, and event planner of Marquart Law Firm that sponsors this show. We're joined here today with Todd Marquart and Miss Peaches Hall. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we're going to have a great show.
It is going to be a great show. I mean, we've had a month full of so many guests. What we've done, Blue Santa, we've talked to senior advocates, estate planning, taxes. But what are we having a discussion on today, Todd?
Today we're going to talk to Peaches Hall, who has lots of experience with seniors as a professional guardian and as a director of a memory care.
Ooh, terrific.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really happy to be here and share at this time of the year because it's unexpected. People visit their families and don't expect to see a decline in them. And so these are some of the things that you want to think about when you are visiting your mom or dad or grandmother or a loved one.
So as many topics as we've discussed so far, Todd, what is the purpose of Talk Law Radio?
The mission of Talk Law Radio is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. The State Bar of Texas is the state agency that governs our law license, and the State Bar wants attorneys to inform the public about the law. But because legal advice must be tailored to specific circumstances of each case, and laws are ever changing, nothing provided herein should be used as a substitute for the advice of competent legal counsel. Before we get started talking about the law, let's begin with prayer.
Of course.
Dear God, thank you for this day and for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, our mistakes, doing the wrong thing, and failing to do your will. Be with all Christian families, Lord, granting the strength, mutual affection, and the grace to care for older family members in faith. Please help Peaches Hall, Christiana, and me to give good information to the listeners about seniors and their care today. Help us to use the gifts and talents you have provided for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Well, thank you for joining us today, Ms. Hall. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, my background is in senior care. Coming from Florida, about 15 years ago, I was working for a CCRC and other communities prior to that, and people will say, what's a CCRC?
Yeah.
And it's a continuing care community. So it starts with independence, then it goes to assisted, and then memory care, and then finally it goes to skilled nursing. And sometimes you can bounce back and forth. So you might be an assisted, have to have a little skilled care for a while, go back to assisted, and then maybe travel that to memory care, and then back to skilled again. So it carried all of those, which was a great workshop for me. And then I moved here and worked again in senior care living, then ended up for a couple of years working for a not-for-profit here for guardianship.
Oh.
And I loved that part because it gave me more skills to go back into senior care again, understanding the guardianship. Not as much as you, Todd. You are, you are the specialist in that.
Well, I know the legal stuff, but
Mhm.
you certainly have other skills that those seniors need. How about education? What did you have to go through to work those positions?
So my education is in aviation. So
Okay.
yeah, so flying right over the radar. So when I decided that that wasn't for me, and then I became very, very interested after working for public television for a while. Was very interested. Everything kept pulling me back to senior care. Then I of course had to get my license for my assisted living, but training for guardianship, because I am a Texas guardian as well as national guardian. So all of that was continuing, education, and never even planning it. Just kind of God pulled me in a direction to keep me involved with seniors. And now that I am one, I see the importance even more. But it's been a great journey.
Yeah, it helps to have a passion for it. And you said that God led you that way, but what else helped to spark that passion?
If I look back, and we all do that, especially as we're getting older, we look back even more. My grandmother was probably the catalyst to that. She raised me, and she raised me with lots of faith. The Lord was number one, and lots of respect for everybody, so that it was an experience, and she was like I say, the catalyst for all of it.
That's similar to my story. The part of the reason I like working with seniors is because I was around them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were divorced, and my mom went back to school and then was working, and my brother and I just spent a lot of time with our grandparents, my dad's parents and my mom's parents. And my mom's mom, my mamaw, used to take me to get my hair cut. Her day off was Wednesday, and she'd pick me up from school and take me to the barber shop, the traditional type. And she said, "Someday you're gonna take me to get my hair cut."
That's my favorite story of yours.
And
I love this.
I just had no idea what that even meant.
And she used to make you comb her hair. Remember, you told me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that you'll know exactly how she wants it.
Yeah.
This is my favorite
One of the
story.
things that actually brought me to the doorsteps of Marquart Law Firm was moving out here to be with my significant other and helping with his grandmother, who was diagnosed and suffering with dementia.
Mm.
So he was being her sole care provider, gave up everything, and I found out about Marquart Law Firm, read their website, and seeing the impact that they made for seniors, I knew I needed to be a part of that team, so that way I can understand just what to expect. And little did I ever expect to find as many stories and miracles happen at Marquart Law Firm that gives us this opportunity now to have this show and share that information with
Mhm.
everyone else.
Mhm. And it does take, thank goodness you were there, because trying to care for somebody is so difficult on your own. So for him to be able to share that care with you was a blessing for you and for her as well. But the blessings come in so many different forms that you don't realize. The learning, the patience, everything that comes with it, and sometimes the exhaustion. So it's great for you to have helped him.
Well, if you are tuning in, this is Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. If you have any questions or concerns about what to do in being a guardian, what to expect in being a care provider, or what are the needs of an elder law, visit marquartlawfirm.com and enter in any information you can to our chat box, or leave a message at 210-530-4278. But we are interviewing Ms. Peaches Hall to help us understand, what do guardians and directors have to go through in senior care?
You had mentioned that it prepared you to take care of what, the thing I used to, and I refer back to my grandmother on this again, is as much as you prepare, there's still so many surprises. Dementia isn't a straightforward, there are so many different forms of it. But my grandmother used to say, if you want to make God laugh, make plans. So you just never know what's coming around the corner. But the good thing is, if your heart's in the right place, it will open you up to the right answers. There are so many great books out there, and people that you can contact, different organizations, Alzheimer's support groups, the Caregiver SOS program. There's so many out there that are there because it's not just the person has dementia or has Alzheimer's, the caregivers are the ones that are also suffering. Many times people will say, "Oh, how's your grandmother?" But they don't say, if you're the caregiver,
How are you?
I know.
Mhm.
How are you? How are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? And the caregiver is so stumped at that point, so exhausted, so tired, they don't even think to ask for help.
I have a lot of clients, I ask them, what's your plan for long-term care?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them said, nothing, I don't want it. I don't want to live that way.
Oh, goodness.
I
Yeah.
say, well, sometimes, you don't have a choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't know what's coming down, so prepare for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't happen, then awesome. That's
Other
great.
people say, oh, my daughter will take care of me or my kids. And I saw firsthand how my mom took care of my mamaw,
Mm-hmm.
and basically she couldn't leave the house for a whole year.
Mhm.
Now
Wow.
we tried to help, and my aunt came in from New Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and we had hospice every once in a while come in and help out, but maybe an hour, 3
Mhm.
times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So now she says, I don't want you to go through what I went through. If I need to be in assisted living or whatever, it's okay.
Gosh, that's great. And because you've had those conversations.
Right.
You've talked about those things. I think I shared with you that my son, when I talked to him about it, said, no, I'm going to bring you home. And I was so glad I had the conversation, because I said, oh, no, I'm okay with assisted living or skilled nursing. I'm all right with that. But we've had that talk. The talk is what's real important, and it seems like it's the most difficult for people to do. Talking about end of life, that is, it's hard. And I think the younger you are, the harder it is to speak to your loved ones, your mother, your grandmother, about it. My grandmother and I had a very, very close relationship, and as you called yours, Mima, is that right?
Mama.
Mine was a Nana. And we had those conversations. I was fortunate because her health was good, and up until the last month.
Mm-hmm.
And just minor cholesterol, that kind of stuff. But she didn't have a lot of hospitalizations or any of that, which was a blessing, not just for her, but for me. Because I was younger then, I don't know, without experience, how I would have been helpful. So sometimes we are in a family that is small. Maybe it's just you and your mom, or you and your grandmother. Start thinking about these things now. You may not have what I had, it may be more like Todd had, in that your grandmother was sick for a year,
Mm-hmm.
bedbound for a
Right.
year. If you don't have support, and you think you can do this, and you probably can, but you think you can do this alone. So if somebody's bedbound and they need to be turned every 2 hours, or they need to be fed, when do you go to the market? When do you pay your bills? When do you shower?
Well, some of these topics we're going to have to cover exactly when we come back from this commercial. So don't change that channel, because this is Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Stay tuned.
Law Talk Radio with Todd Marquart is sponsored by the Marquart Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of the information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Order in the court. Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Todd Marquart, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquartlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. I'm Christiana Villegas, and we're here today with Ms. Peaches Hall to understand what do guardians and directors go through in providing services for seniors who are incapacitated.
And their families.
And their families, especially the fact that a lot of the people who are actually taking care of the seniors little do the people actually realize that they need to be taken care of as well.
What other resources are there?
Oh,
available?
gosh. You know, and it all depends on what it is that you're looking for. So some of you might have grandparents that are listening or parents that are listening, and that they are maybe have lost a loved one. Maybe they're all by themselves at home. So I always say, look in your area. We are blessed. I cannot tell you how blessed we are in San Antonio. We have so many senior centers, and these senior centers offer activities, socialization, lunch every day. I mean, and there's no cost. San Antonio has the best program. People from all over the world come to look at the program that we have here because nobody else does it like we do. We're great. So I would reach out to your senior centers because not only can they offer the things I told you about, but they have resources that they can put you in touch with. I always say, depending on what it is, let them know where it lies. I always refer, and Todd, we've known each other for 15 years now, and we've worked professionally together for 15 years.
Mhm.
So I would always refer somebody who needs an elder attorney to go to an elder attorney. You know, you don't want to go to somebody who specializes in car wrecks.
Right.
It specializes in what you do. And I also say research it. If you have somebody that you knew loved and cared for their elder person in their life, then you know there's a passion and a love for it. And also one that touches on somebody with faith, because that's everything, you know, that's a nutshell to me. I'm good on that. And as a referral, I'm referring, you know, I'm saying, if I need something, I'm going to Todd. So that's the nut that I would say to look at. But there are things out there, but you have to get your stuff in order. You have to get your stuff together. You just can't say, you know, I'm gonna wait another year until I'm older, or I'm healthy right now, I'm okay, because many of us are healthy way until our 80s.
So then having all of these options available is a great resource for our community, but having that many options can be daunting. What are the questions that people should be asking when preparing that journey?
How do you talk to your parents about this?
Yeah, isn't that the tough one? Because you don't want to, especially as a you know, the siblings should go in together. You know your mom, you know your dad. Go in there and say, we just need to have this conversation because I want to make sure I'm doing things right for you. You know, if you tell me I want to be buried in this pink dress or cremated in this pink dress, and this is what I want, tell me your wishes. Tell me what it is you want, because I want to do it the right way. I want to know what church. I want to know everything about how you want this to be done. Let me help you if your finances are a little out of control now and you don't know which way to go. Let's make sure. Let's get an attorney to look at these and get them right. And then as a parent, if you're the one listening, or a grandparent, if you're the one listening, don't leave them this big spaghetti bowl of finances. Don't let them have the worry of having, how do I bury you? Or what are your finances? What were your insurances? Do you have long-term care? Did you have, you know, there's a myriad of things. Put it in a sweet little binder, and that's all you leave behind.
And then just let them know where it is.
Yes, yes.
It's the better organized you can be, I think, the better off the family will be, because they're already going to be in distress or grieving.
And you know what I think would be the number one thing? So they call you, they get you to put all their finances in order, they help you A to Z, and then they introduce you to their kids. So that they know there's a face they've already connected, there's a phone number that they know, there's that relationship that's already built. So when something happens, they call and say, Todd, it's time, or I have a question, or help me through this.
You know, the question that I've been getting a lot lately is, I'm worried about my parent or my loved one. They seem to be losing their memory, or they're buying things that they shouldn't be buying. They're overspending, it seems. And I have to ask them, well, do you think that they have lost their capacity to make those decisions? Because people make bad financial decisions all the time.
Right.
As long as you have the capacity to do it, you have the right. And so they say, well, I don't know.
So here's what I'll say. do they know the difference between a POA and guardianship?
Right,
Yeah.
they need to know.
And so many people think, well, I'm gonna wait until mom gets a little worse and then I'm gonna get her POA. And then it's too late.
Right.
Now she has her diagnosis of dementia already, and
Mhm.
she can't make those decisions to get a
You have
power
to
of-
understand the power of attorney in order to sign one.
Right.
So if you're having a hard time understanding why we are on the topic about powers of attorney now, you are listening to Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. We interview Ms. Peaches Hall, who's helping us understand what to expect and what to ask as a care provider, as a family member, and as a senior needing to prepare your estate for your care and long-term care. If you have any questions and you need to meet with an attorney, Marquart Law Firm is available at 210-530-4278.
Or you can visit the website and there's online chat. You can chat with somebody even if it's midnight, and we'll call you the next day.
Absolutely. That's MARQUAR, D like David, T like Tango, lawfirm.com.
So you need a power of attorney, I think, so that other people won't take advantage of your loved one.
Yes, and the other thing too is, I've had several people say to me, oh, I have a power of attorney. My mom was in the hospital last week and we got one there. And so that doesn't transfer with her.
Right.
It's an in-hospital one. So please, if you had a power of attorney done in a hospital, it's not covering you.
Yeah, you need durable financial power of attorney and a medical power of attorney that's not specific to the hospital. And that's just part of what I call the 5 must-have legal documents. It's really the minimum standard of care for estate planning.
Right.
I also recommend the HIPAA authorization and release, directive to physicians, and then a will.
Yeah, I love all those put together. That's your full life package. That's what you need. It's very important. The other thing is, don't wait until somebody is in the hospital, because minutes count. So it may be that they're working to get a power of attorney in the hospital to make those decisions for your loved one, when you can go in and it's already taken care of. And you're not worried about the paperwork, you're making the important decisions right then.
Yeah, do this when you're healthy and alive.
Yes, yeah. So many people say, I'm gonna wait a little bit till mom, or I'll talk to her when she's a little bit more, declined, or I think she's sicker, or what. Do it now. Do it while she's healthy, and you can still talk about what the wishes are.
But then another factor of why they procrastinate is because they assume it's going to cost too much money, or that they don't have enough money to even make these documents, and why should I create a will? But Todd, why should a person create a will and power of attorney?
Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's no will, there's no way. Actually, the state of Texas has written a will for you if you don't have one. The bad news is you have to prove who your relatives are, or they have to prove that they were related to you, and so you don't really know who's going to end up with your stuff.
So you mean it's not enough to put a sticker on the bottom of that favorite statue?
Somebody's going to take that statue. They might even take each other to court over it.
It is. And so to keep your family from fighting, to make sure that it's all legal, you're going to be gone anyway. You don't mind if they blame you.
Right.
So make sure that your family is not in distress over that favorite statue.
I wanted to ask you, in your experience, what are some of the ways that we can protect our loved ones from financial exploitation? And
Yeah, I remember I was doing an assessment on this gentleman, and the daughter told me he is so tight about his finances, he will not share them with anybody. And she said, that's the one thing I'm okay about. She said, I'm not ready to place him yet, but I just wanted to get an assessment, talk about it. And I said, do you want to meet at his house? She said, yes. And so there was traffic. And when I got there, I was there first. He was in the garage. And I said, hi, I'm meeting your daughter here. And he said, would you like to come in and have a glass of lemonade? And I said, yes, that'd be great. So it was a hot summer day. I sat down on his couch, And with his lemonade, he brought me his savings passport and his checkbook because he was so proud to show it to me.
Oh, wow.
So I could have been anybody. And he was willing, he was so nice, I was a friendly face, I was giving him attention. Now, the daughter doesn't see that because when he's with her, he's a different person. He still knew, oh yes, I know how to take care of my finances. You don't have to tell me anything. But when I was new in the picture and I was a friendly face, he wanted to share.
Yeah, that's a sign.
Yeah,
right?
That is very much a sign. That is just telling you those are not things that you do. You don't share your finances with somebody who comes into your house to begin with. There's so many other different signs. You know, people will say and joke around, oh, you must have dementia because you told me that 6 times. Well, okay, maybe we do that. We have busy days, things clog our brain up. But you'll know the difference when you're sitting with mom and the same thing comes up, or she says, you know, who are you? Or, you know, sometimes it's deeper and more. But there are other things that you look for. Many times because we're such a global world, we're a big community where we don't live next door to our parents anymore like we did for generations. Now with military and different jobs that transfer us, you may live here and your mother may be in New York. So you get to see her maybe twice a year. Now you go home and there's been a decline. You see that difference in a lot of things. And we try to convince ourselves that this is not happening. We love our mom, our uncle, or whatever. So we tell them, oh, it must have been just a hard month and she didn't get a chance to clean the house, or he's hoarding stuff in the back and that'll be done later, or she's dropped so much weight, she looks different, asking the same questions, the clothes
Just
look dirty.
look for changes.
Yes, and sometimes it may be as simple as a urinary tract infection that's going on, but many times there is a decline and you can see it, and it usually shows up right after they visit. That's when you notice it.
Right after we visit back from this commercial, we will cover more on Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart.
Law Talk Radio with Todd Marquart is sponsored by the Marquart Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of the information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Water in the court. Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Todd Marquart, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquartlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. I'm your co-host, Christiane Villegas, and we're here today with Ms. Peaches Hall, who was sharing with us before the break of what signs to look for when your loved one could be experiencing a decline.
So if you're looking for the financial, you should be introduced to your parents' checkbook. And I know parents keep their checkbook close to their heart. They think that that's not the kid's business, but have those conversations to see if you can help. When you look through that, are they paying 2 and 3 times a year to get their trees trimmed? You know, where is the money going? Do they all of a sudden have new friends that are taking them to the bank? Do they have, are they part of the Jamaican Lotto where that money's going out and all of a sudden, are they buying an enormous amount of things? Because when they call the shopping channel, the people will sit and talk with them a little bit. Does it feel good just to give money to friends because that's their money, and they'll tell you that I can do what I want with it. So you need to protect it because the more that they spend now, the less that they have to care for them as they get older and will need it. And you know, there's a lot of things, and that's where I love to send them to you, Todd, because getting people ready and setting up trusts and getting the whole package and the whole picture.
There is a trust that we use where we recommend maybe having 2 trustees at all times. You can start with your spouse. If you're single, you can already start with an adult child or a sibling, and then if something bad happens to one of the 2 trustees, then you can elevate a successor trustee to that position. Not because they're gonna tell you what to buy and what not to buy, but just so that you have a second pair of eyes on the bank statements.
Exactly.
And if I play the Jamaican Lotto one time, that's probably not gonna do much harm. But it's when it happens over and over again that you lose lots of money.
Right. You know, I've seen, especially in Florida, there's a lot of cruise ships that, have packages there. And one of our problems were the ballroom dancing on the cruise ships. You'd go to take your ballroom dancing in Florida, and then they'd do these giant cruises, and then they'd charge them for their special clothing and special shoes, and they had to, of course, pay the dancers to get on. And before they knew it, there went their entire savings.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Yeah, so there were lots of, these bad guys are smart. They're very smart. While doing guardianship here, I saw so many people lost everything that they had to these bad guys. People would come in and take their antiques and put them on eBay and sell them, move in with them. Caregivers who were half their age or even younger, marrying them and taking everything.
Well, one suggestion a client had, he put cameras on the outside of his parents' house. Not because he was worried about burglars, but who was stopping by to sell things.
Right.
And right after he put these cameras up, somebody did stop by to sell roofing repair service. There had been a hailstorm or something.
Okay.
And he saw on his mobile phone these people at the door, and so at lunchtime he stepped away from work and said, "Hey Mom, I noticed somebody stopped by. What was that all about?" "Oh, they're gonna do our roof repair." And he said, "No, you don't need a roof repair."
Wow.
Right, there are people that live in assisted living, and just because they want the conversation, have called car dealers and bought cars over the phone, and they don't even drive anymore. But sometimes if somebody will sit and spend time with them, my thing is, if your parents are lonely, then find good caregivers. If you don't live in the area, but call your mom every night, call your grandmother every night. Just take the 5 minutes is really what they're looking for, is that it's a touch to them, even if it's over the phone. But if not, find a caregiver that you trust, that it comes with a good company that you trust, not just somebody that you find that you believe that their aunt or their kid or somebody is a good caregiver. You want really good care for your family.
So what benefits does that bring, being with the company, a caregiving
Oh,
company?
yeah, so they're bonded, and that way everything that's in the house is cared for. There are people that will go and say, "Yes, I love to take care of elderly people," and then they hurt themselves in your house, and then you're liable for that.
Goodness.
Yeah, so they're helping your mom into the shower, your mom loses her footing, she goes down, the person goes down, hurts their back, and you get to pay those bills. And if you think you're gonna pay $10 an hour or $8 an hour to somebody and not pay taxes on it, I get it, times are harder. But they can walk their fancy self down to Social Security and say they haven't been taking,
Right,
And so,
unemployment,
yeah,
too.
absolutely. So, and how easy is it to transfer as being a rep payee for someone's Social Security? You walk that person in, they look healthy, they look fine and cared for, and then they help them sign their Social Security over to them. So you want somebody who is reputable, who's bonded. And then maybe you don't get 5 days a week, maybe you get 2 or 3 days a week, but that person goes in and helps with groceries, with laundry. As you get older, putting those fitted sheets on gets to be tougher and tougher.
It's tough for me,
Yeah,
Peaches.
that's right. So for somebody who can come in and do those things once, 2, 3 times a week, and then just the socialization, they cook the lunch with them, they sit down with them, have some talk with them. I've seen it where maybe they're in a wheelchair and they roll them in the kitchen, and while they're preparing the meals and cleaning the kitchen back up, they have that talk. And they can talk because they come from a company that understands seniors who have some memory loss. They'll talk about the old days with them, and it doesn't matter that they talk about it over and over and over again. They're trained to do that.
Training.
Yeah.
Right, that's another benefit.
But I have to say, do your due diligence and find out about that company, and visit the company, and visit the caregiver. Stop in.
And what you should also do is visit marquartlawfirm.com. We are here on Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart, interviewing Miss Peaches Halls. Things that you should consider as we're closing the year and getting ready for a new one. You should check on your family and make sure that if they are showing signs of decline, what do they need to have done in order to make sure that their well-being is taken care of?
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about the differences between assisted living and memory care and skilled care. Will you talk more about how you know that you need to have a higher level of care?
Right, and once you're in a community, they're pretty good about helping you through that too. And one thing I didn't mention that is a great alternative financially, and I just like it, is residential care homes.
Mm-hmm.
And they are becoming more and more popular. So do your homework on that too. Visit them on off hours, sit during a mealtime and watch them. How do they care for them? What their activity level is. You know, many times you'll go and people put on their best front when you're doing a tour, and you might go to even a skilled nursing home, and they'll say, well, these are our activities, this is what we do, and you know, we finger paint, we do this, we do that. And yet you can go, and sometimes the activity for the day is putting that loved one of yours, rolling them in a wheelchair, yeah, or in front of the nurse's station and letting them watch them count pills. I mean, many times you see them all lined up in front of the nurse's station, just sitting in there and not talking to anybody, and no one carrying a conversation on with them. But I've gone into residential care homes at all times, and they're at the kitchen counter, the bread is in the ovens, and it has that home smell, home feel. They're sitting in the kitchen talking, reminiscing. I even went to one residential care home that I love, small, but just full of love and life, and they had an Elvis impersonator there, the worst Elvis impersonator ever. But the residents that were living there were dancing and loving it, and the ones that were in a wheelchair were tapping and clapping, and you know, it was only like a 45-minute show that they had put on in the front room, but they talked about it forever. And here are people with memory loss, and they were still remembering it. If they weren't talking about it, they were still singing Blue Suede Shoes. That, you know, it just was amazing. So you want to make sure they do these special things. At the holidays, they still have holiday trees up. They still have a menorah up. They still have Easter celebrations. They still, you know, all those things, because those are what they were raised with. That's what they understood. You know, it just all, I had a gentleman that every night before, you know, right after dinner, he always had a glass of wine. And he couldn't have it because it didn't mix with his medications. But we gave him a glass of non-alcoholic wine every night. And if he didn't have it, he just felt incomplete, he was restless. But we put that non-alcoholic wine in his hand, and he was so settled. And it was easier bath time, everything. Know your person, know who you're taking care of. Get that family in there and do a bio on them. Get everything you can on them.
I've noticed different places and the staff. Some of the places that we've been Christiana to do lunch and learns, everybody was happy, they enjoyed their work. It didn't even really look like they were working. They seemed to love to care for the residents there. In other places, it's like dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you'll know
just,
that. You get that feeling when you go in. Drop in, just drop in, and go into their dining area. See what that looks. If the dining area is people just stooped over and nobody's assisting them, and I always say, once you hit assisted living, make sure that you know they chart everything. They should chart all the input of food for the day. Did they eat 10% of their breakfast, 30% of their, 100% of their dinner? You need to know what nutrition they're getting. And for the output as well, you need to know all the voids. When it becomes assisted living, and just before you go to memory care, you're talking memory loss. And then, the killers for them are the UTIs and being impacted. So make sure that they're charting everything on that. As well as what their activity level is.
Does everybody with memory loss, Alzheimer's, or dementia need to be in a memory care place, or can they be in assisted living?
It depends on well, and the dementia kind that it is. Some of them are, they have behaviors, they're combative, and when you see that the other assisted living people are noticing a difference, they will pull away. When they pull away, then they're isolated again. So sometimes they can move from an assisted living to a memory care, and they may be a little higher functioning, the other ones are, but I find that the ones that come in higher functioning are the ones that assist the others. And that's part of joy too, is giving. That's part of joy when they're like, let me help that person. And we always let that happen.
So then come back as we return from this commercial here on Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Thank you.
Law Talk Radio with Todd Marquart is sponsored by the Marquart Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of the information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Order in the court. Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. Todd Marquart, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquartlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now, it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart. I'm your co-host, Christiana Villegas, and we're here with Peaches Halls, who is sharing with us stories of what she's experienced in caring for seniors. But can you tell us a little bit about being a guardian?
Guardianship is not, it just sounds so wonderful. It just sounds angelic. But there is a lot of work involved, and you're held by standards from the court. The court wants to make sure you're taking care of these people correctly. And so you visit, and you may not be in the area. So remember, you're going to visit them once a month. You're going to write and chart about that. At the end of the year, you're going to turn in a report. And there is a cost involved in it too. So, yeah, you're held to a standard. Now, of course, not everybody takes it as serious. But to me, it's an honor to be somebody's guardian.
Well, just think about what it would be like if a judge supervised how you parented your children.
Oh, gosh.
This is like what guardians have to go through. The court requires that you ask permission for almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
They require that report, which includes how often did you visit, who's their doctor, who's their counselor, social worker, or psychologist, and when's the last time did the ward meet with those professionals.
Now, Todd, can you help refresh our memory a little bit? Who qualifies to be a guardian? Does it have to be a complete stranger by the court, or certain family members can be able to?
A family member can apply, but the court's going to decide whether it's in the ward's best interest for that family member to be guardian. So there could be competing guardians.
There could be, and the court really does prefer a family member to do that instead of putting them as a ward of the state. Usually it's more loving. There's a connection there. There's a relationship there. And then there are times where it's not the best interest.
Yeah. Our judges are pretty good about vetting that out.
They're great.
There's an attorney ad litem, which means attorney just for this case, who will meet with the proposed ward and try and determine whether the proposed ward wants this. I was an ad litem one time, and the proposed ward wanted me to make sure that he had access to his firearms.
Wow.
And so, charged with representing the proposed ward, I had to do what he wanted, and it was the judge's job to discover whether or not that was a good idea. So I presented evidence that showed he still had a valid driver's license, and he still had a valid concealed carry license. And but Judge Rickoff, he asked some questions of his own about why my client wanted to have firearms, and in the end, there was the judge decided that he could only use his firearms if his son was with him and they were going hunting.
When I was doing guardianship, I dealt a lot with Judge Rickoff, and I so respected him, and so was the value that I got, and that I knew he cared so much, and that he was caring about his dad too. So it was a great relationship for me to work with him.
The judges that we have now are good too. They both had experience with guardianships, but what you can do in advance. There's a legal document that we can do with your will that says who you would prefer to be your guardian if you need one.
Oh, really?
And to go one step further, who you don't want.
So if you want to have a consultation to find out if that step is right for you, contact 210-530-4278 or our website at marquartlawfirm.com. MARQUAR, D like David, T like Tango, lawfirm.com.
So I always ask, is there an adverse party in your life? What does that mean? Well, anybody that you've sued or that sued you, or an estranged family member, or somebody that you know is after your money. That's who you want to name as the person who you don't want to be guardian. And if there is a guardianship question that comes up, the judge will look at that form and say, well, it looks like this person is not in the best interest.
And do that while you have capacity, because so many times
when you're healthy.
Yes, please do it then, because then it's too late, and that person you don't want may be the one you get.
So, Peaches, you know that at Marquart Law Firm we focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and estate planning. We like to ask our guests in the last segment of our show about legacy. Either a legacy that you want your beneficiaries to enjoy from you or learn from you, or a legacy that you received or learned from somebody else.
Probably I keep a very strong communication open with my son and husband. I mean, they know there's no secrets. I tell them what I do and don't like. They understand everything, and my son is always, of course, he thinks I'm too strict, but I think they understand me, and so the legacy that I will leave, I will trust them with. What I've probably learned is from my grandmother. And my grandmother she had more sayings than anybody. I'd come home and complain about somebody, and she'd say, no matter how crooked the pot, there's always a lid to fit it. So she would always have something to say to turn me around, to make me look at things differently. So I appreciate and I still talk to her every night, in my prayers. That's my conversation. And especially when my shoes and my purse don't match. She was very picky. But what I learned from her was how understanding she was, and everybody was equal. And I appreciate being raised by somebody who saw things so clearly. And I am amazed from a woman who had a 4th grade education. She was able to raise me and pay for it and still have her own business. So she always said, don't judge the book by its cover. And she's made sure I feel that today.
I learned something from my mom's mom. We took a road trip, not just me and her, but my mom and some other people. But Mamaw sat next to me while I was driving, and we talked a lot about how she grew up. She's the one that'll tell you she had to walk miles uphill both ways to get to school.
In the snow.
Right, in the snow. But she really impressed upon me during that trip how hard she worked. She had to work for everything, and they were poor, and they didn't have anything. And so I just learned how important it is to put your work in.
Mhm. I agree. My husband's probably the hardest worker and the least complainer I know. He has medical issues. You will never know that from him. I get a hangnail, however, and you will know about it. So, people in your life that you value, that are important to you, hopefully you're learning from them. And I think I keep people in my life that I learn from, that remind me every day how fortunate I am, but also remind me that I don't do this on my own. If I didn't have support from God, I wouldn't be able to do any of these things. And that's the one thing I always say, if you can leave me here a little bit longer, and he knows if I'm,
You got work to do.
that I'm happy to continue to do that. I'm more than happy.
One thing I hope that my kids learn from me is not only how hard I worked, but the dreams that I followed, starting my own business. And so I encourage them to work hard at whatever they're passionate about. For a time, my daughter was a gymnast. She would have been the best gymnast, but she got tired of it. And so now she's doing other things. She plays sports just for fun. My middle son, Thomas, he plays baseball like it's his job. It's something that he loves to do every day. And my oldest son has yet to discover what his passion is, but whatever it is, I will support that as well.
Yeah, my son's military, and I'm very proud of the work that he does in his job and how seriously he takes it. He's a good kid. He's a pain, but he's a good kid.
So legacy could be the lessons that you leave, or it could be the things that you leave. And if you have a strong preference for somebody to receive this thing or that thing, it should be written down.
Yeah.
Some people tell me
Legally, not on the
right,
bottom of the statute.
Right, or they'll say, well, he knows what I want. I leave everything to one, and then he'll distribute it. But that's probably the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
Everybody could change their mind.
It's dangerous.
They can argue about it.
Or some tragedy can also happen again at the funeral. So
That's right.
And it can split the family. You would hate to think of siblings not speaking to each other anymore over that vase. And
Right.
you've seen that.
Yeah.
So
I don't mind naming a bank or other financial institution to be the executor or successor trustee, because if it will prevent family conflict, if it'll reduce family conflict and build family harmony, it's worth the cost.
what should be worth the time in taking with the new year coming is visiting marquartlawfirm.com, MARQUAR, D like David, T like Tango, lawfirm.com. If you need to have a consultation and see what path is best for you to make sure that your loved ones, your assets, and that your well-being is planned out just the way you want it, whether it's with Marquart Law Firm or someone that you trust, you really should get this done before the end of the next year.
Yeah, if you have time off from work for the holidays, it's a great time to meet with somebody.
it's a great Christmas gift to give yourself or someone you love.
And with our chat box on our website, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to follow up with. So thank you, Ms. Hall, for joining with us today.
My pleasure.
It's been a great information, getting to hear from what it is like being in the heart of it all. Todd always letting us know more about estate planning, what's the best path, and how to prepare for guardianship or your will.
Just get started.
But tune in next time on Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquart every Saturday at 11. We'll see you next time.